Alright, gang. Today we're going to be looking at how do I find the greatest common factor between two or more sets of numbers. So what is a greatest common factor? The greatest common factor is the greatest factor that divides two numbers. So we have three different methods that we can use to find the greatest common factor. So one thing we can do is list the factors. So if I want to find the greatest common factor between 36 and 60, I can list all of the factors of 36. So I know I have 1 and 36. It's even, so 2 times 18 should be 36. 3 times 12 is 36. How about 4 times 9 is 36. 5 doesn't work. 6 times 6. 7 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. And then I'm to 9, so I know I'm good to go. Now let's make a list of the factors of 60. 1 times 60. 2 times 30. 3 times 20. How about 4? Does 4 work for 60? I think it does. 60 is 4 and 15. How about 5? 5 works. 5 and what do you think? 1, 0. So 5 times 12. I'm going to run out of room. 6 times 10. So sorry, I ran out of room there a little bit. So now I'm going to look at my list and I'm going to compare where is the number that's the largest factor that's in common. So the largest factor that I see in common between 36 and 60, let's see, I have 2's, I have 3's, I have 4's, I have a 6, and I think that's going to do it. So my greatest common factor is going to be 6. Common factors would be 2, 3, and 4, but my GCF is 6. Okay, now you are going to try the problem. You're going to list out all of your factors of 48 and 30 and then find the largest number in common. So go ahead. All right, let's check out to see what you got here. My factors of 48 are 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8. Factors of 30, 1 times 30, 2 times 10. I'm sorry, 2 times, Mrs. Hook made a mistake. 2 times 15 should be in here. 3 times 10, 5 times 6. So my greatest common factor, I see I have some common factors, and the biggest number that's in common is 6. So my greatest common factor between 48 and 30 is 6. So one way that we can find the greatest common factor is to make a list of our factors. The next way that we can use to find the greatest common factors, we can use what's called a division ladder. So I want to find the greatest common factor between 42 and 56. So I'm going to figure out what's a common factor between 42 and 56. Well, a common factor that I see off the top of my head, I don't know, let's say is going to be, they're both even numbers, so let's say 2. So 42 divided by 2 gives me 21. 56 divided by 2 gives me 28. So now I'm looking for another common factor between 21 and 28. A common factor that I see would be 7. So I'm going to be 7 goes into 21 3 times, 7 goes into 28 4 times. So now I am ready to, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply the numbers on the outside of my division ladder. So my greatest common, excuse me, my greatest common factor is going to be equal to 2 times 7, which is 14. So I find a common factor and keep breaking it down until I get prime numbers, and then I multiply the numbers on the outside of my division ladder to get 14. All right, so you are going to try this one by yourself, and I'll be back with the answer, so hit pause. All right, let's see how we did here. I see off the top of my head that a common factor between 63 and 90 is 9. So 63 divided by 9 gives me 7, and 90 divided by 9 gives me 10. Are there any common factors between 7 and 10? There aren't. So that means my greatest common factor, I only have one here, is going to be 9. Okay, so our second option of a way to find the greatest common factor is to use a division ladder. The last way is what we did yesterday when we found the prime factorization with using a factor tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a factor tree. So 27 can be 3 and 9. So I'm left with 3 times 3 times 3 is my prime factorization. So I have 3 times 3 times 3. And then for 20, I can break that up into 2 and 10. 10 can be broken up into 2 and 5. So my prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 5. Now I'm looking to find in my prime factorization, I'm looking to find what numbers do I have in common. So do I have any numbers that are in common here? So I have no factors that are in common, so my greatest common factor is actually going to be 1, because I have no numbers that are in common here. All right, let's try the U-try problems. Go ahead and hit pause, and then I'll come back and tell you the answers. So hit pause. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is find the prime factorization of 36. So 6 times 6 is 36. That can be broken down to 2 times 3. So I'm going to end up with 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 45 I can break apart into 5 and 9. 9 is broken up into 3 and 3. Eventually we're going to be left with 3 times 3 times 5. So again, we're looking now to see, in my prime factorization, what numbers are in common. So I like to say what has a dancing partner. So this 3 and this 3 are in common. This 3 and this 3 are in common. So my greatest common factor is going to be, and then I multiply my circle numbers. 3 times 3 equals 9. So my greatest common factor between 36 and 45 is 9. Okay. That is the end of our greatest common factor. So we will do our stamp page at school tomorrow, and we will see you then.